we should be placing on these programs.
Thank you. We'll go to Mr. McLean now. We're in the 5-minute round.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the witnesses for scintillating information here. I really appreciate it. Let me start off with something that I hear the witnesses focusing on here. I'm going to go to Mr. Bougin. Mr. Bougin, we talk about EDC here and the $8.6 billion in loans it's providing as an inefficient subsidy. Are loans considered a subsidy, if you will, when they are market-based?
I think it depends on the rate. If they are preferential loans that give the proponent rates that are better than they could receive in the market.
Are they preferential loans?
In some cases, yes.
How preferential?
I don't have a numerical answer to that question at my hands.
Okay. I'll move on. That being the case, they are paying interest, so you wouldn't consider it a subsidy if it was a grant as opposed to a loan? Like all the alternative energies receive, the grants and a CCA rate of 100% on the equipment they install, those wouldn't be considered comparable subsidies as a loan that actually pays interest?
I think both can be considered subsidies. It's a question of how big the subsidy is.
How big and how deep it has to go. Correct. Okay. With the $8.6 billion being paid back, would you consider, along with interest, would you consider it still a subsidy?
If the rate is better than they could receive from market value from the capital markets, then yes.
Okay. Thank you. But not a deep subsidy, not $8.6 billion worth of subsidy, but maybe 1% of $8.6 billion?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It's a fraction of the piece rather than the whole.
Good.
Yes.
No, thanks very much. So $8.6 billion is a bit of a stretched number. Would we agree?
I think it's probably smaller than that, yes.
Thank you. You talked about 90% of global GDP being committed to net zero future. Can you tell me where that 90% of global GDP that's actually committed and how it's actually performed so far as reducing greenhouse gas emissions around the world?
That comes from commitments to achieve net zero.
So like this government, it's kind of in words so far, but no actual results. In fact, negative results. They've actually grown GHG emissions in 90% of these countries.
Not all of those countries have yet implemented policies. You are correct. That being said, the risk of them acting on their commitments should be taken seriously.
Yes, I agree. The risk of them not acting on their commitments should be taken seriously, and the
risk of them acting should also be taken seriously, and the risk of them moving and committing and following through on those commitments should be taken seriously.
Okay, I'll move to Ms. Levin at this point in time because you talked about carbon capture, utilization, and storage. Ms. Levin, the International Energy Agency talked about the necessity of carbon capture, utilization, and storage being a part of the 2050 goals put forward by COP26, saying that 7%, the most tangible 7% of reductions would happen with CCUS, but you're saying it's not a good subsidy, correct?
I'm saying what the IPCC scientists are also saying, that the best path to 1.5 degree future does include carbon dioxide removal, but through natural nature-based solutions and not through engineered CCUS. And certainly both the IEA and the IPCC don't allow for the lion's share of that CCUS that's in the IEA's net zero roadmap is actually for not the oil and gas sector, but sectors like cement. Some of those niche sectors that we will still need in 2050, where we don't know what other decarbonization options are there.
But we won't need energy in 2030.
Certainly we will need energy.
Okay, and all that energy is going to come from where in 2030, if I can get some kind of postulation from you?
The energy will come from a mix of renewable sources. In addition, we will have energy efficiency measures, which greatly decrease the amount of energy that is required. And a combination of those things have been modeled for countries, for the world, and in allowing us to achieve our climate targets.
Thank you. But you realize that none of this modeling actually works and hasn't worked to this point in time, when in fact we continue to consume more power everywhere around the world, including in Canada. Technology takes more power. Everything we do in society takes more power. We're going to need potentially more power in Canada, despite the fact that we're more efficient. We've become 4 times more efficient in the last 4 decades with our power consumption. We still consume more power. We're a power-intensive society. You're thinking that there's going to be that interruption?
Sorry.
You think that's going to change?
Yes,
Yes,
I think it is changing.
Okay.
There's
That's
huge
a good
investments
answer.
being
That's a good succinct answer, Ms. Levin. Thank you.